I'm Eugen Olsen. I'm the creative director at the Refinery, and we mostly do feature film and commercial finishing and VFX. The industry has moved tremendously in the last 20 years, but it's still very young. So what happened really was the software went from proprietary and very closed off, and then Adobe came out and gave Photoshop to people, and they could multi-layer pictures. And then before long, After Effects and some of the other compositing bits of software came out. I remember working on an early version of Combustion, and that was discontinued, and people started learning Shake and so on. And as that opened up the industry, lots and lots of people just jumped in. And so the change that happened was it went from a very specialized and very expensive and 3 or 4 companies in the world doing these types of effects to thousands of companies, and becoming far more democratized that way. However, things have really dramatically changed, not only in how the industry produces content, but what type of content is required. So in the past it was high-end features and high-end commercials, and then the retail was kind of shunted off to the side. We're finding that because people read less and watch more, YouTube is a phenomenon, and how people are demanding more and more content. Content is king right now, but there's already an expectation of quality, and people are demanding more and more for less and less. And it's not just less money, but it's also you better do it quicker. And because we're at a stage where it's pretty open, there are many people involved in the visual effects industry, a lot of people are undercutting one another. And so there will be those who will say we can do it for less, but they undercut their own company and in the end have to shut down. And we see the companies really struggling to find their feet. And I think it's simply because the industry is still maturing. But right now we're at a stage where we really need to figure out how to meet the demands of lots and lots of content at a high quality and producing it quickly enough at the lowest cost possible. So that's the big change that's happened. And so the demand there has forced us to move from very specialized artists, the online flame artist who only does the final titling and finishing touches, to the 3D guy who doesn't even bother to, in fact in the 3D department there are 10 different guys who only do one thing, a modeler, a rigger, a lighting and texturing guy. And the generalist attitude is really picking up. There has to be a crossover because many generalists are jack of all trades and master of absolutely none, and finding a way where guys are able to do crossovers. So I don't think it needs to be jack of all trades, master of none. It needs to be jack of some trades and master of those. So for example, the 3D department needs to have a crossover between what they're doing and the finishing. And that part needs to be the lighting and rendering into compositing. And so the compositors are usually guys who have no clue of how 3D works. But that has changed dramatically. There's more and more 3D in compositing, but the guys need to actually cross over from the 3D department into the compositing department, and that needs to be done in a way that is smooth and fast. It can't take a week handover anymore because we need to produce more content more quickly and cheaper. One package of software that has become an industry standard that used to be kind of downplayed in the past was the Adobe suite, After Effects and Premiere and Photoshop. But now they're industry standards on a number of levels. I mean, even Adobe Premiere used to be one of those editors which people used to poo-poo and say, oh, that's for boys putting together a little behind the scenes or a documentary. now some guys are finishing major feature films on it. David Fincher did his feature on Premiere and did many of his effects in Adobe After Effects. And basically, a lot of the software allows us to do a tremendous amount, and that it's finished in After Effects or Flame, you won't be able to tell the difference. It's just the amount of work and effort and talent that goes into it. So Adobe's suite has really opened up a lot of possibilities for young artists who have been playing on Premiere and so on to then become compositors by going into After Effects and so on. But a couple years ago, a company called Blackmagic, they used to make video cards and so on, decided to expand, and they bought the compositing package called Fusion, and they put a free version out there. And I just wish more people would grab onto it, but it opened up tremendous possibilities. And now there are a number of software packages that just democratize the industry so much more. The key now is to find a system that will allow a large company that has multiple departments to work smoothly together. And the system that we have adopted is Nuke, and in particular Nuke Studio, which is their mother package that brings everything together very well. It has an edit timeline, as well as its very powerful node-based compositing package, all built into one. And then to be able to pick up from your editor and take it all the way to finishing and handoff, all within this one software. Even if you're handing off to a 3D department who are going to use their own software, but it comes back and is managed through that system all the way out. It can be argued that you can do that in a Flame, but that would be a pretty expensive solution in comparison. It's argued that you can do it in the Adobe package, but there are limitations in Adobe. Nuke we found to be sufficiently open, and so if you want to import a particular type of 3D file and so on, you don't need to buy another plugin. You're able to do it natively, and you're able to do so much more natively. And to be able to keep things in a stable, open system that we can develop as we need, and then produce VFX tools that are catered to your team, that enables one department to speak to another very quickly and efficiently. That has tremendously changed the way we work. In the past, there used to be the conforming department. They would conform, and then they would hand over the film to the grader, and then various shots to the VFX department. And the VFX department had to muddle through those shots and hopefully hand them off in a way that the final end of the process would pick up well, like the Flame. But if something changed halfway in between, if the edit changed, that would mean perhaps starting over on that shot, or it would really set people back. But now we have a system that unifies the whole process. The whole pipeline is unified into a single system. And when that happens, it makes it more dynamic. The editor can actually make adjustments while the VFX department is working, and it won't impact them as much as it used to. There are a couple great things about the film industry in South Africa right now. There's a good initiative from our government to give tax rebates for foreign companies doing films in South Africa, not only if they do the production, but especially if they do their post-production in South Africa. They get a great kickback. We just need to make sure our work level is up to that international standard, so that they would trust us with finishing their work. And so there's a long-term plan of saying, okay, if you spend at least this much of your post-production in South Africa, we'll give you the rebate. But hopefully long-term full post-production should be done in South Africa. We are already doing that on a number of features, and hopefully more and more as we progress. But at the moment, collaboration is going to be with international companies. It's just going to be pretty be standard fare. It has to, and you have to oil your engine, your wheels have to turn perfectly to be able to work with international companies in a smooth and effective way. So unified systems, or being able to fit your pipeline to their pipeline, is becoming another challenge. So, and then we're not just handing over final frames. They want to be part of the process every step of the way. We want that progression to happen. We want South Africa to become another world leader in visual effects, and we have fantastic artists in South Africa. And that's proven by a number of artists who have gone from South Africa and are now leaders at ILM or the Mill and Weta Digital. So we have good artists and guys who are really motivated and able. We just also need to create the environment that will nurture and direct young artists into the right direction as well.